Viewer discretion is advised. The following content includes graphic imagery and mature themes.
This isn't for the weak. And yes, feelings will get hurt. Brace yourself. And welcome to the Hammer Drops. Hey, welcome to another episode of the show. Oh, man, happy Tuesday to y'all that are either watching or listening on your favorite podcast platform. If you're watching this obviously on either YouTube or Rumble. Trying to get that stuff built back up, seeing as how it was taken away from me after I had it built up for a little bit, and because I was talking about things that I shouldn't be talking about on those platforms. But that's neither here nor there, because that's what we do here at this show, and that's what you can expect moving forward. And yeah, so let's start off with a little self-promotion, shall we? You can find us on all your favorite social media. I'm most active on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And on those, you can find a little link tree. And that link tree is going to take you to our podcast episodes that are on Apple and Spotify as well. Or you can go to our website at thehammerdrops.com. All of our content is on there, along with some blogs, all of our videos, all of that stuff you can find in one centralized location right there and listen to the episode, or you can watch the video of the episode. So now with that being said, some news. I'm currently in the process of redoing my area, updating my equipment, updating some software, so I can provide you guys with the best possible content that I can. So when the new program, once I get all the bugs worked out of it, I should say, once I get the bugs worked out of that program, I will be launching that here, hopefully within the next couple weeks for the video aspect of it. So it shouldn't really change much except for the interface that I'm currently using. Also, I did another episode with Savagely Loud just yesterday, or Saturday. And it went great. Definitely looking forward to doing more of those with Cliff over there at Savagely Loud, which will be happening. It looks like it's going to be on a weekly basis. So I will keep you guys updated on that as well. And the last episode that we did, or the first episode, I should say, that we did, I will be releasing that on Wednesday. So look for that on YouTube and on all your favorite podcast platforms as well. And while you're there, do me a huge favor. Please, 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 please leave a review, like, share, and don't forget to follow that page, because all of that stuff is going to help in the algorithms to get the truth out to more and more people and get this content to the people that need to see it or don't need to see it, whatever, who knows? So now let's get on with the show. Usually during the show, what I do is I expose or I talk about certain things, and moving forward at the end of the show, I'm going to do a little thing that I didn't prepare yet today. So I won't be doing that today. Technical difficulties, I swear to God. But anyways, we're going to do something that we are going to kind of honor heroes to kind of, with all the negativity in the world, we want to know, and people want to see and realize that there's actually still some good left. There's still some humanity. So I'm going to be spotlighting people like that. And if you happen to know of anybody that is like that, definitely email me. Hit me up in the DMs on our social media. Email me at david@thehammerdrops.com and let me know the story, and we'll get it out on the show. If it's, if it fits, we'll get it on the show. So I just want to show that there's still humanity, that people still actually get along. So that's kind of where I'm at. So today we're going to talk about how on the new social thing, and I talked with Cliff over on Savagely Loud about this as well. We touched base on this, about the EBT. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but I'm also I want to kind of give you guys a little bird's eye view into why I do the things that I do. Because, I guess this is kind of get to know the host of the show. And I think you guys should get to know me a little bit more, except for what I post, because I do post a lot of stuff that it's not race baiting. It's nothing like that, but it's definitely stuff that people don't want to have that conversation about. And it's definitely it's a conversation starter. So we're gonna get into all this. First, let's why do I do what I do? Well, that on that facet of it, there's many different reasons. One, I got sick and tired of, you turn on the news and you can turn on any news station and you get the story from one, then you get another story from another and another one from another, so on and so forth. It's just repetitive. And you can never fully believe it because, like places like CNN, they like to, with the fear mongering and all that. And I really started this after, after the pandemic, honestly. That's when I really just got really, really fed up because everybody was being, you know, it just changed society so much, changed our way of life so much. And people unfortunately haven't come out of that. Even though there's things that are coming out that have proven that like things weren't as they seemed, like many of us were saying for so long, and now all that stuff's starting to come out. I guess conspiracy theorists, basically we tell you the truth firsthand, but they're gonna still tell you, what they want to tell you, but eventually it comes out. So I mean, I forgot. I think we've been right about a whole bunch of stuff, which I'm not happy about. Believe me, I'd much rather to be wrong about these things because you don't want to constantly just you know be right. I guess. I mean, let's be honest. So, that is what really set me off, and for the longest time, I stayed out of the whole politics, stayed out of the whole society and the culture aspect of things, because that's just, what we've been indoctrinated to do. We just believe what they tell us and move forward, you know, and that goes even with, the culture and society, they're tearing down our, culture for during 2020, taking everything away, because just canceling it and canceling it and canceling it. And it's like, these are things that people need to remember and be taught if they've never been taught these things. So this doesn't progressively just keep going, it's just a cycle. So I thought for myself, it was time to open my mouth because I would have conversations with friends, family on my stance on just different things. And finally, I'm just like, you know what? I want to put my hat in the ring for this and give it a shot and see if I can get my voice out to others on my perspective of these things. And lo and behold, here we are in 2025. I did take a year off, as many of you know, but here I am, and I'm still going. And this time around, I'm not stopping anytime soon because let's face it, if it wasn't for people like me that would bring these hard conversations to you, these hard topics to you, who would? You wouldn't hear it on CNN. You wouldn't hear it on MSNBC. You wouldn't hear it on Fox News. You won't hear it on WGN. You won't hear it anywhere else except for people like myself that are doing this. And we're doing this not because, we're making money. I'm not making money doing this. I'm doing this because it's for the pure passion of it. It's, I don't want to just hear my own voice. It's just, you guys need to know what is happening. So I do that digging. I do that research because I want to debunk how I'm thinking. And a lot of the times how I'm thinking, and that's how good research is done, is by debunking how you're thinking. If you think a certain way and you're able to debunk it, now you're going down a rabbit hole and you just keep going with it. And that's kind of what I've done here. And as far as all the content that, you can see on my social media, that highlights who not, it highlights my beliefs. I think my beliefs and who I am, I have to separate that when doing the show because, it's just, you get feelings involved or emotion involved in a topic, then you're going to sway one way. And by me doing how I do it, I don't allow emotion to sway me either way. So that's why I'm able to give you guys those hard conversations and bring up those hard topics and post what I post because, you know, when you see some of the posts that I have, like I posted some stuff about Muslims, I posted stuff about the black community, about the white community, you know, it just, sometimes statistics, like it's just, these are things that you guys, I don't know. I don't know if you need to hear it, you need to see it, what it is, but people are so blind that, they just run around with these blinders on and they're not, it's like they just don't care. And it's like, come on, people, we got to wake up, open your eyes. Now, let's get on this EBT thing, and we'll get back to more about why I do what I do. And hopefully, with this EBT thing, it might, maybe sway in there. So, as we all know, the government shut down. And as of Friday, this past Friday, government programs like EBT were going to be essentially not funded, I guess. So, you have a bunch of people from the black community and the white community out there complaining and bitching and moaning the fact that they're losing their food stamps. Okay. And most of the people that are complaining about this, let's be honest, they have abused the system in such a manner where they just pop out kids to stay on the system. And what we're learning from the government shutdown, and I hope people are really paying attention, is that you cannot at all, I don't know what the hell that was. You can't, this should show you that you can't depend on your government. Because if you depend on your government for healthcare, you depend on your government for food, you're not going to get it. You're just not. Because in situations like this is where the money dries up. This is where these programs get hit hard. And there's people that have become full-time on these programs and just habitually just staying on them for no reason because they're able-bodied people that can actually get out and work. And I think one of the changes I've heard was that you have to work a minimum now of 20 hours if you're collecting EBT. And boy, did people get an uproar about that. And it's like, for me, I understand that there are certain demographics and certain people out there that need these benefits, but it's unfortunate that you have people that are collecting these benefits right now that really are just abusing it, because I bet you in some of these communities, and I don't want to just single out the black community, but you can even say, the black and white community in a whole, you can go by some of these people's houses and they got a nice fucking BMW sitting outside, but yet they're collecting EBT from the government, collecting all this money for food and all that stuff. How are you paying for that car? How are you paying to go on a trip? How are you paying for all this shit if you're so broke that you're getting EBT, but yet you have all this money to do all this other shit and you have 3, 4, 5, 6 kids in some cases? And that doesn't make sense to me. If you have money to do that stuff, you have money to handle your responsibilities, and pay your share, pay your fair way. The taxpayers don't need to pay that. And I've heard some people in the black community say, well, that's our reparation. We shouldn't have to fucking do this because the taxpayer, the taxpayers' money should be paying us to sit at home essentially and just fucking be bums. That's when I see these videos, that's what these videos are telling me, is that you want to sit at home and essentially just be a bum and just collect. And now you're all upset because that money is dried up and your thing, you're just fucking cut off. So now you're all upset about it. So now they are prepared to go into big box stores like Walmarts and other grocery stores to essentially fill up carts and walk out of them. Well, here's a fun fact. In a lot of these communities, especially in the black communities and some of the bad areas, you don't have your big box grocery stores anymore because you've already robbed them. You've already taken so much from them, so they packed up shop and left. And then you'll sit there and you complain, well, we don't have access to food. We don't have access to grocery stores within a certain amount of miles, where you live. Well, if you would think about it, you caused this. So you have nobody to blame but yourself in this situation because you went in there or others went in there and robbed them. took food, ran out of there with fucking shopping carts full of food because you know that the people that work at these stores are told not to stop you. And you know, in certain states like Illinois, you'll be, if you get arrested, you're going to get a slap on the wrist, you're going to get booked, and you're going to be released. So you can do it all over again. You know, and this goes for black and white. And you know what? Let's just make it flat across the board because I'm sure there's Hispanics in that group. There's definitely probably Muslims in that group that do the same fucking thing. And it's like, enough's enough already. There's elderly people and people that actually need those benefits more than you. You are able bodied. You can go out and work 20 plus hours a week. You can go out and work 40 hours a week. And then you're going to sit there and say, well, who's going to take care of my kids? Well, you know what? I guess that's when you have to depend on family. You talk to family or you put them in daycare. Oh, but I can't afford daycare because I don't have the money. Well, if you kept your fucking legs closed and stopped popping out kids like fucking little bunny rabbits, you wouldn't be in this position. So I don't personally feel fucking bad for you. If you have 1, 2 kids that you had and you depend on this because you're working and your husband is working, those are the people that need these benefits, not somebody that has 6, 7, let's just say 3 to 7 different baby daddies that are just sitting at home and because the baby daddies don't want to pay fucking child support. That's not our fucking problem. Take them to court, have them be forced to pay child support, and get a fucking job. Plain and simple. This is what this is about, is just get a fucking job already. Stop fucking bitching, stop complaining, be an adult and do what adults do. And adults wake up early in the fucking morning and not, stay out until 3, 4, 5 o'clock, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, partying at the club, dancing around, getting your fucking groove on, all that stupid shit. Okay. We're actually in fucking bed, getting prepared for the next fucking day to go through hell, because there's a lot of people out there that, have different issues with them that still wake up, go through hell to go make a living to support their fucking families. And how is it right for you to be at fucking home bitching and moaning when you're perfectly fine to go get a fucking job somewhere? If you have kids that are in school, I'm sure while they're in school, you have plenty of time to fucking work instead of sitting on your ass, fucking eating bonbons and fucking drinking soda, Diet Cokes and shit all fucking day. And you wonder why we have an obesity problem in the United States. I mean, I'm not a skinny guy, but I'm not this fucking blob of shit. And, okay, I'm going to get off that fucking rant now. So that's where I sit with this whole EBT thing. It's fucking dumb. It really is. Again, just go get a job. Unfortunately, in this society, and Democrats have put in people's heads that, depend on the government, depend on the government, depend on the government. That's how socialism is. When you depend on your government, oh, we're going to give you free healthcare. We'll give you free food. We'll give you free this. But then when the government can't pay for it, you lose it all. So wouldn't it just be easier to essentially fend for yourself? Seems like it'd be a pretty easy thing for me to do. Hell, I do it every day. I'm up at 3:30 in the morning, Monday through Friday. My day doesn't stop until 6 o'clock at night from work, sometimes later. And I'm still finding time to do the show. Trying to do the show twice a week. I'm still, it's priorities. You have to prioritize what's important to you. Do you want to have a better way of life? No, you want to be a scum-sucking pig that leeches off everybody? Well, then you're going to just stay down here. You're never going to elevate yourself to where you want to be. And all you're doing is showing your kids that this is the height of the ceiling that you're going to ever be able to hit, because you're just embedding it in their brains that this is where you're at and that's it. So again, all you're doing is adding to the cycle. It's time to break that cycle. Stop depending on the government and just do what you got to do. Get a job. Oh, so yeah. Okay. That's enough of a rant on the EBT, because I can go a little bit further with that, especially with the correlation of how the WEF and the 2030, just all of that stuff. But that, my dear friends, is for another time and another show, because that that kind of a show may be a show that would have to be broken down into multiple episodes because you're not going to be able to cover everything in just an hour, half hour, whatever. And as we've learned in society, people usually like to listen to something about a half hour is usually the max. If you try to go anything over that, you tend to you have a tendency to possibly lose your audience unless you can do something fucking crazy and kooky to keep them active. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at with that. So it's stuff like that that makes me want to do what I do, makes me want to continue doing this and continuing the fight because you know a lot of people there's people that don't pay attention to social media or they just scroll through and their algorithms in their social media just shows them all this funny stuff. They don't show them anything. And unfortunately, even on your social media sites now, you have to sit back and you got to think what's real, what's not, because there's so much AI out there now that even the one thing that you think could possibly be true isn't. And so we have to be mindful of that as well. And that's why, it's so hard these days to get accurate information. And that's why people like myself do what we do. So you can get that information. So, but yeah, I don't see me stopping anytime soon. Like I was saying in the earlier part of the show, there's a lot of stuff that is in the works right now. Like I said, I'm going to be um, a regular on the Savagely Loud podcast. At least once a week. I'll be on his shows, and I'll be bringing him over here. Once I get my software up, I have people in line that are going to be coming onto the show. And once that happens, I'm going to be bringing Cliff over so he can do a show with me. I'm going to be bringing in my brother. And we're going to break down some of this Epstein nonsense that's going on because he has a very fresh perspective as far as that goes. Ex-military, all that stuff. So we're going to get into some conversations with him on a lot of different things as well. And I think you're going to enjoy what he has to say. He's a no nonsense type of guy as well. And he's not going to sugarcoat it, and that's one thing. If you want to be on the show, you can't sugarcoat it. There's no filter here. I'll say fuck. I'll say everything on this show. I have, and I always will. That's why the show isn't made for kids. And that's why that disclaimer is in the beginning. So you guys know, you will be offended on the show if you don't like what I'm saying. If you don't like the topics, especially if you're a liberal, you're definitely going to get hurt. You're going to get butthurt because you're not going to like what I'm saying because I'm bringing awareness to the things that need to be brought to. So that's kind of an inside of what goes on in Dave's brain. Now, when I'm trying to figure out what episodes I'm doing or what I'm going to be talking about, it's typically it just kind of comes to me. And I don't want to sound so fucking just like that, but it just, I'll just be sitting there like last night. I was just sitting there, what should I talk about on my show tomorrow, so I can release it, for Tuesday. And I'm just like, all of a sudden the EBT popped in because, I had the conversation earlier with Cliff in the day. I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk about that, And then I was thinking, I'm like, you know what? I want to give them an inside look and, updates on what is actually happening with the Hammer Drop show. And so that's just kind of the shit that I do. It just kind of comes to me. I just, once I have that idea, it's like, okay, it's time to get down and record because you don't want to lose that idea. I don't write any other shit down. When I do my research and do statistics and all that stuff, I pull up, and you'll see this in the new format that I'll be running because I will have articles, I will have documents, I will have videos and all that stuff on when I switch over, because right now I'm using Zoom and I'm going to be switching over to a web-based program that is going to allow for so much more. So I can just get, so this way you can actually see the documents if you're watching it on YouTube and all that stuff. The videos you'll be able to hear. And then also I have multiple guests too. I do have in my area, it's in the basement of my home. So I have this other area that's off to my right now. So that I have a couch and everything set up with a rug, a TV and all that shit too. That eventually I'll have people over here in my studio and to do some Friday Night Live shit or something like that. So there's a lot of different things that are currently being worked on that will be coming very, very soon. So I'm very excited to let you guys know about this stuff and cannot wait to bring it in so you guys can see, just everything that we got planned out. Pretty soon, this whole background right here, there's going to be some stuff still here, but there's going to be stuff added. So it's just going to be, between equipment and all that, I'm trying to look a little bit more professional. I don't know. Do you think it's going to work? I don't know. Let's see how that works out, right? Because as you can see, I wear just fucking button down shirts or t-shirts all the time. So you'll never see me in a fucking suit. I promise you that. I'm not one of those guys at all. Another thing you can count on with me is, I don't know about you, but it drives me nuts when you listen to a fucking podcast and all of a sudden, they stop and then they start talking about their sponsors. That to me is just tacky. It's like, go through your fucking thing. And then maybe at the end of the show, when you're editing, put those things in, pre-record them and put them at the end or something like that. I mean, that to me just drives me nuts when all of a sudden you're in a good you're in a good conversation. All of a sudden they just stop and they're like, well, yes, my pillow, you can get 20% off with using my code. It's blah, blah, blah. And they go in a whole spiel about the fucking item. It's like, you just lost me. You lost me right there when you started doing that shit. So you won't hear shit like that. The only thing you're going to hear on this show is self-promotion because I'm going to self-promote myself. And that's it. And honestly, I pay myself. So I'm allowed to, but it's not going to take away from my show. On that note, it's a little bit of a lighter side show today. I definitely appreciate you all who's listening, who's watching. Thank you for the support. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And leave us a 5-star review, because that's going to definitely help us in the algorithms and to be able to get us out to more and more people. And that's really what we want to do, obviously. Everybody wants to get out to more people. So that's kind of, that's pretty much where we're at, folks. So you guys have a great week. Don't forget tomorrow, which is Wednesday, the episode that I did with Cliff over at Savagely Loud will be released on both YouTube and on all your favorite podcast platforms that you can listen to. And definitely let me know how you like that. I thought we have great chemistry. I thought that show went great, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. And then hopefully I'll have another episode done for you guys on Thursday. I do apologize. I'm working my way up to get up to that 2-show-a-week thing, 2 to 3 shows a week, I should say. But with redoing everything, that's kind of taken me away from that second show. So I'm going to be filling it in with the ones I'm doing with Cliff. And once everything is set up, you can count on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for shows. Tuesdays and Thursdays will be shows that are just the hammer drops. Wednesdays are going to be the shows I do with Cliff with Savagely Loud. One of those days, Tuesdays or Thursdays, I want to have one of those with a guest and one just solo like this. So, again, a lot of stuff in the works. And don't forget to check us out on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. That's where we're heavily active. Also, don't forget to follow us on those so you can stay up to date on everything that's going on. And go check out the hammerdrops.com website. We got a lot of different information there, from blogs to, all of our videos and all that stuff are there as well. Until the next time, folks, be good.